Now at 6, staff at Portland Public Schools speak out after learning their jobs won't be there next year.
The district doesn't know what we do, and so they think it's, oh, well, they're just extra.
Plus, a natural treasure in the way of Metro's growing demand for electricity.
I love the dense, lush greenery of being out here.
PGE's plan to expand power lines through Forest Park.
And a rising star in Portland's culinary community, suddenly gone.
There's so many stories and so many memories with Lauro, and he was one of a kind.
Remembering Chef Lauro Romero and the legacy he leaves behind.
Good evening, everyone. We begin at 6 with what is sounding like significant staff cuts for Oregon's biggest school district. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm China Green. Recently, Portland Public Schools announced it will have to slash $30 million from its budget next year. Thomas Schultz joins us from district headquarters. Thomas, obviously a very tough time for some of these people who just lost their jobs. What did they tell you?
Yeah, China, for people we spoke to today, they say that they're heartbroken. Now, they're not surprised by these cuts. They knew they were coming. Still, they say the reduction of these positions will hamper student learning.
Feeling a little shell-shocked.
For 20 years, Diane Newton-Pryor has worked as a library assistant across Portland Public. This year, she splits time between a couple of elementary schools, teaching students, organizing the library, and adding books to the shelves.
I usually try to share a quick lesson, a short story.
Though recently, she and other library assistants were notified there won't be any funding for their jobs next year.
I'm numb.
She says other positions in art, music, and PE classes could see reduced hours too. Though Newton-Pryor says the district will work to provide jobs like roles as a paraeducator to some. And if principals have leftover funds, they can use it for positions being reduced. Still, she says some people will lose their jobs.
A lot of people who depend on this job for their insurance, for their family.
Other staff say library assistants aren't the only ones affected.
I'm actually very upset.
Yasmin Correa is a paraeducator and works with high-need elementary schoolers. She says some of her co-workers will lose their jobs next year.
So our feeding team, which is really essential to kids eating at school and not choking, they're getting cut.
We reached out to Portland Public for a list of positions being reduced. We haven't yet heard back. Though in a letter to families, the district says they have to make budget cuts. In a release to staff, PPS says some class sizes may slightly increase, too. This comes after a poor financial situation was exacerbated by a new contract with teachers costing $175 million over 3 years. And while educators understand cuts may be necessary, they say students' education could suffer.
It kind of breaks my heart a little.
Yeah, you can certainly understand that. Thomas, staff cuts just one piece of the puzzle here. What else is on the table?
Yeah, well, there's some other positions that are going to see reductions according to the people we spoke to today. In specialties like music, arts, and PE, they may have reduced hours. Now, the school district, in the $30 million that they're cutting, half of that is coming from the central offices in hopes to minimize how much cuts are going to come from schools. David?
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people. Thank you, Thomas.
In tonight's headlines, a popular restaurant in Gresham is now closed after a fire damaged the building. It happened around 5 a.m. on Sunday at Heidi's. The fire reportedly started on the outside of the building and spread into the back entrance and freezers. In a Facebook post, the restaurant claimed someone set the fire intentionally, but Gresham Fire says the cause is still under investigation. The restaurant says it will have to stay closed until it can make all the needed repairs.
The man accused of kidnapping a woman in Seattle and locking her in a cinder block cell in his Klamath Falls home has been indicted on 6 additional federal charges. 30-year-old Nagasi Zuberi was facing 2 charges, including kidnapping. He'll now stand trial for an alleged second kidnapping in Klamath County, plus a jail escape attempt, as well as for allegedly possessing guns and ammunition as a felon. Authorities caught up with Zuberi in Reno last July, shortly after that woman escaped from the cell in his home. Zuberi's federal trial is set for early October.
The union representing thousands of grocery workers across the Northwest has come out in support of a proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons. If it's approved, Albertsons, Safeway, QFC, and Fred Meyer would all be owned by the same company. But they have agreed to sell off 400 of their stores to keep the market competitive. C&S Wholesale Grocers wants to buy those stores. The union met with C&S leaders and say that they are convinced the company would be a good fit for its members and customers. The attorneys general of Colorado and Washington have sued to block the merger, so it's still not a done deal.
And we have an update on the fin whale that washed ashore on the Oregon coast last week. Tonight, we have learned the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde will be permitted to harvest parts of that whale for educational and cultural purposes under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. That whale is being left to decompose on Sunset Beach near Warrenton. The Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde includes more than 30 tribes and bands from Western Oregon, Southwest Washington, and Northern California. Matt?
Thanks, David. The coast right now doesn't look too bad. We've got some breaks in the clouds, still a little bit of light left in the sky. It is 50 degrees and east winds over at Newport. And the weather we had today is the weather we're going to get for the next couple of days. Portland made 54 today, but we had 57 up in Kelso and even a 60 down in Coos Bay and North Bend. So showers, yeah, they move through, especially early in the day. Then we got those sun breaks. So it's a pretty good cell moving north towards Stafford and Oregon City and Westland right now. And I don't think we'll get any lightning strikes out of that one, but tomorrow down the valley from, say, Salem south, there could be the random thunderstorm. But for the most part, the weather we had today is the weather we're going to get for the next couple of days. So mostly cloudy, could be some patchy fog in the morning. Sunset at 5:44 tomorrow. Showers around midday, break up in the afternoon. They're going to come and go, the showers, very much like they did today. So on and off showers. But we get a warm up late in the week. Some of our warmest weather of the year so far. Mountain snow, though, comes back in a big way late in the weekend. More on that, guys, in a bit. Back to you.
Sounds like something for everyone. Thank you, Matt. Now at 6, PGE is looking at clearing some trees along one edge of Forest Park in order to make way for more power lines.
Joe Ranieri joins us live from Forest Park. And Joe, this isn't a done deal, but it sounds like it's not sitting well with some people.
No, especially how much people love the Forest Park area and, of course, all their trails. Now, David and Shauna, even on a rainy and kind of a blustery day we saw earlier today, despite the mud, that didn't stop people from coming out. But PGE is eyeing a section of Highway 30 in North Portland where they potentially could be removing some trees and adding some power lines. Now, the area that they are looking at is along Highway 30 near Lytton, just north of the St. John's Bridge. A spokesperson with PGE told me they are currently exploring upgrading and enhancing existing equipment to meet growing electricity usage needs and to enhance reliability. They've been checking in with residents to get an idea of how they feel about projects. A lot of hikers I spoke with earlier today don't like the idea of any trees coming down.
There's already so many issues with deforestation, like all over the world. Luckily, we're so fortunate here in the Pacific Northwest, but the more enabling we're gonna do to something like that, we could lose the beauty of the Pac Northwest.
Now, Andrea Platt with Portland General Electric told me in a statement that any work would have to meet the high standards and requirements of city bureaus and public processes. Again, Platt also said this is an early phase of the utility company looking to upgrade its grid system. I also asked Andrea just how much of the park could be impacted. She's told me it'd only be about 3 acres of the more than 5,000 acres of Forest Park, again, along Highway 30 there in North Portland. Reporting live in Northwest Portland tonight, Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
Joe, thank you. Coming up tonight on The Story, an update on a single block in downtown Portland where police say they've arrested nearly a dozen fentanyl dealers in just 2 weeks.
Let's bring in Blair Best live downtown now with a preview. Blair.
Well, David, China, when talking with homeless people who are addicted to drugs, they all say the same thing. They say it feels like they must keep using or else they'll get sick. And they know there are limited consequences when they get caught doing so. So these blocks around Southwest Jefferson Street and 10th Avenue have been a recent target for drug dealers and the police. We watched as police arrested this man today on outstanding warrants, but they initially approached him after watching him smoke fentanyl on the sidewalk. In the past 2 weeks, police have arrested 10 suspected fentanyl dealers in this area. While neighbors are grateful for the attention they're giving the neighborhood, they say it's a problem that never ends.
I mean, there's like feces and vomit and urine everywhere. Like, it just doesn't feel safe anymore at all.
We're arresting drug dealers at night as fast as we can, and it seems like we'll arrest someone and within 30 minutes there's somebody else back out.
People don't have real consequences for their actions here, so I feel like that might contribute as to why people will keep staying in this vicious cycle.
All right, so coming up tonight at 6:30 on this story, the tactics Portland police are now using to try and stop drug dealers while they wait for lawmakers to make changes to drug use laws. David, China.
Thank you, Blair. Looking forward to the full story there. And straight ahead at 6.